Shana Tova, everyone. So there we are, one of the, well, now after 15 years, many hurricanes my family and I have lived through, and we've gotten better at it. I mean, we haven't had any major ones, and yes, everyone will tell me about the worst ones that happened before 2010, which just means since I've been here, the weather's been better, just saying. But we have gotten good at something, which is to say when the power goes out, and we know hurricanes mean the power is going to be out for more than a few hours, well, we have to strategize. We have to stare at that refrigerator, and we have to balance, all right, what do we want out for the next meal? Because we don't want to just open it up and stare at it like an art gallery the way we normally do, because whatever cold comes out is not going to be filled back up until who knows when. So we talk, we plan, we decide exactly what we're going to get out of that fridge, and then with everybody lined up behind me on the count of 3, the doors come open, the hands fly in, I pass off to everyone else, doors shut. It's like a pit crew for NASCAR. And I don't think the cold even knows what hit it. I don't think we've ever lost a drop of cold in all of the hurricanes that we've had once we began to refine our technique. Now, that efficiency is totally absent during the rest of the year. During the rest of the year, like I said, we open the fridge and say, what do you want? I don't know, what do you think? 10 minutes later with the machine beeping at us of come on, we finally have got what we need, we shut the doors, and who knows how much has poured into the house. What's the difference between our efficiency in hurricane mode and our lack of optimization that comes during the rest of the year? Well, during hurricane mode, we have a goal. And the goal is very clear. It is very precise. We want to preserve the food inside that refrigerator as long as possible, while still eating some of it in case it goes too long and it would otherwise spoil. And so we can map out that a precise curve of when to open it up, how long to open, what to grab first, what to then put away or not bother to put away, because what's the point to just waste more energy or more cold if we put it away, so we'll leave it out, and that's probably not going to be worth it. We have all those calculations down because we know precisely what we are trying to achieve. During the rest of the year, when we open the fridge, we got no clue. We don't know I don't know, I feel like a snack. I don't know, what do I want for lunch? I'm not sure. Let me see what we got. That vagueness leads to a lack of efficiency. And as such, it is technically more wasteful for that energy. Now, lest my wife complain that I'm casting us in a bad light during the rest of the year, I'm willing to wager that most of you do the same, and I'm also willing to bring stats to back it up, not about fridges, but about your commute, about the routes you normally take, the normal path that you drive, whether it's to work, whether it's to school, whether it's to visit your friend, the grocery store. Time and time again, when they do research on this, they'll find that most people have their set route, that each day they will follow the same road day in, day out. But if there is construction, or there is a road closure for some reason, perhaps a hurricane, or some other issue has come up, then people are forced to find an alternative route. And once the road is open again, statistically speaking, about 30% of the people who have been forced to find an alternative route will keep to the alternative route now that their original is back open, because they've discovered, having been forced to look for it, that there actually is a better way to get wherever it is they normally go. That there is a more efficient, or there is a more optimized, or at least a less aggravating route to get where they want to go, that they never would have bothered looking for if there hadn't been something that pushed them to try and examine things a little bit more, to not take for granted that they had already found the perfect solution. You see, as humans, we're actually pretty lousy at optimizing. We're very inefficient for most of our life. In fact, it does not come intuitively. As much as people may brag about being efficient or brag about always finding the best version of something, most of the time we're just not good at it. Our brains are not hardwired to do all of the probabilistic statistics and all of the different analyses to really yield those results. But there's another reason why we're also lousy at it, which is that we usually pick the wrong things to optimize. So, hurricane season, what am I optimizing? Maximum preservation of the food and minimum spoilage. It is very clear, it is very simple, and it is not going to be my rest of life optimization, but for that moment it is manageable, it is measurable, it is attainable. And we do a pretty good job. Haven't really had much to waste over the last number of storms. But for most of the rest of the year, I don't know what I'm optimizing when I look at that fridge. I stand there staring at it blankly because I'm not entirely sure what I want from it. Or I'm waiting for it to tell me what I should want from it, what looks good, what is appetizing, what is stirring my fancy at that particular moment. And that is a lousy way to plan things, as the tightness of my kittle reminds me. But for most of our life, that's exactly what we do in every other sphere of our life. Think of the things that you have spent the last year pursuing, the things that you have truly optimized. Has it been spending time with your family? Has it been deepening your appreciation of the wisdom of Judaism and allowing it to give you a spiritual depth? Has it been to reach out into your neighborhood, to connect with others that are like-minded, motivated on different causes or purposes? Have you been able to appreciate the world around you? We rarely optimize for that. We do not care about the efficiency of those things. Joy? No, not so much. Pleasure we can optimize. Pleasure comes in a shiny package. Pleasure comes with a nice big price tag, and then we can do the calculation of how much pleasure am I getting for this amount of cash, and how often will I be able to repeat this? That's simple. But actual joy? Joy does not optimize so easily when you're using that type of calculation. One of the most inefficient things you can do is celebrate Shabbat. You're wasting a seventh of your life. We were mocked for this by the ancients of the world around us. You're wasting a seventh of your life by not being out there in your field, by not sitting at your potter's wheel, while not standing in the marketplace hawking your wares. What a waste! Don't you realize there are crops to grow, there are animals to shear, there is money to be made? Well, yes, those things are all easily countable, easily measurable, easily seen as being targets for our maximalization of outcome. But is that what we're here for? Is that the actual purpose? When people first began to hunt and gather and be aware that they were doing this rather than just behaving on animalistic instinct, did they say, I need more nuts for the sake of having more nuts? No. They said, I need more nuts to get through the winter, because in the winter there aren't as many nuts. And so I need to get as many as I can now. I need to grow whatever crops I can grow now, because eventually there won't be as much. So maximizing it was perfectly reasonable, because you didn't know. There might be a blight, there might be a drought, there might be bandits. You had to optimize in order to survive. But the point wasn't to have more. The point was to survive in order that. And it's that second half that we seem to have forgotten. That we are surviving in order that we are able to have a rich, fulfilling life. We are surviving in order that we can play a meaningful part in other people's lives around us. We are surviving in order that we can experience the richness of a connection to God as well as each other and ourselves. It isn't just about having the most grain in the silo, the most bushels of wheat, or anything else you care to measure. That wasn't what we were trying to optimize. Our wealth, even our hedonistic pleasures, these were the handmaids of our actual goals in life. These were our assistants. They were supporting cast in the drama that we were actually pursuing. Yes, we needed enough to get by, because without enough to get by, well, you weren't going to be here. But once you had enough to get by, why would you want more? What were you going to do with it? Having more grain in the silo doesn't make you happier. Having more sheep in the field doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't give your life a sense of meaning and purpose. You can't trade sheep for joy. You can't trade sheep for a healthy family. You can't do any of that. But in the modern world, we have been sold a bill of goods that if we are efficient, if we work hard, if we optimize, we count our pennies, we scrimp and we scrape and we save, that if we pursue a goal that has a decimal point in it, then everything will be better. And I'm sorry to tell you, but that actually doesn't work. Like pursuing getting to your destination by buying a faster car, well, there's only so fast you can drive on the roads around here, especially at the wrong time of day. So what good was it? Well, how did you optimize by buying the Ferrari to be able to get to the supermarket? Yes, in theory, that Ferrari could get you to the supermarket in 5 seconds, but that would be the last trip you would ever take. Instead, the purpose of the trip was to get food, not to get there faster. And the food does not get better the faster you arrive. Life does not get better the more we have maximized the normal things that nowadays we hold up as being our goals. We are obsessed with optimization. When you watch the news, when you read articles, when you are talking to others, almost everything is described in terms of something that could be graphed, something that could be plotted and charted, something that could be measured and weighed, as though that was the true measure of success. And the funny thing is, none of that actually is, when you talk to yourself in that quiet stillness of prayer, what you're actually hoping for. You hope for a successful life because you believe it will let you do other things. Absolutely right. When was the last time you let that successful life translate into those other things in a way that, dare I say, damaged your ability to maximize the next quarter's return? How often do you trade in? Do you cash in the chips that you have been earning from days, weeks, months, years of labor, pursuing something that was supposed to be in purpose of the greater goals, and that for which you have sacrificed the fulfillment of those goals in the meantime? When did you cash in those chips lately? Or ever? Did you take your full vacation? Did you actually spend it in a way that was meaningful and worthwhile with those you love and doing things you love? Or did you spend it collapsed because you had burnt yourself out before you actually took that trip? Maybe you never went on the trip in the first place because you were afraid there wouldn't be a job for you when you got back, or that you would have been missed for that promotion. Life is not here to maximize the things that can be measured on a chart. God did not call us into existence from the void in order that we achieve things that economists are obsessed with. No offense to economists, you do an important job, keep going. But it is not the true measure of the world, and it is certainly not the true measure of a human being. Our nefesh does not fit in a ledger, and it cannot be optimized if we don't have the right goals. So if you are thinking about the year to come, which I hope you will do because you are here on Rosh Hashanah evening, which tells me a lot about what you might be thinking about, think about what you are going to optimize. What will be your pursuit in the year to come? Yes, enough to get by. Make a living, live comfortably, all of those things. But remember, it is the life that you are leading that is the true goal. What depth will you seek in this year? What challenges will you place before yourself that are not merely tied to some reward that is of trivial consequence in the grand scheme of life? What meaning will you create for yourself or others? What benefit will you give to yourself or others? This is where you will find your worth. This is where you will find a feeling of achievement. not just in the statistics that accumulate with such rapidity in every element of our lives. Rosh Hashanah is a time for reflection. And our ancestors would have reflected at this time precisely because their silos were full. The harvest was in, the food was all prepared. There was nothing to do but take a small break before preparing for the winter planting and on into the next season. But at this time, they had the seichel, they had the wisdom to say, we will not only do a tally of what we have grown and produced in our fields, but we will do a cheshbon nefesh, an accounting of our souls, of who we really are. What are we really pursuing? What has all that work in the field truly accomplished beyond whatever is in my barn? What is it enabling me to do? And then let me do it. And if I've been falling short, not in the barn, but in my soul, then I need to redistribute the balance of my efforts. Rosh Hashanah was given to us by God and was refined in the eyes of our ancestors for precisely this purpose. To make sure that we didn't move from one period of intense physical labor and accomplishment into the next period of intense physical labor and accomplishment without stopping and thinking, what is this about, what is this for, and what do I actually want to achieve, more than just plowing a few more furrows next year. So that is your challenge for this Rosh Hashanah. We've got a few days coming up of time for prayer, then 10 days before Yom Kippur in order to give deeper reflections, and then we can come back and spend almost the entire day together. Weave in and out through the traditional liturgy your own questions of purpose and meaning and worth, of where you will seek treasure in the year to come that is not so easily found, that where you will yield benefit to others in ways that don't have price tags, of where you will live up to the moniker of Adam, of being a human being, and not merely a biomechanical device reducible to statistics and numbers. You are worth more than that. Live like it. Shana Tova. The year stands before you like a closed refrigerator after a hurricane. You only get one shot at this. The doors will open, and you will have to know in advance what you want to grab, because life comes too fast to try and make those decisions on the fly. Use these next few days. Consider carefully, keenly, advise your soul. What is it that in this year to come you will grab hold of and pull to yourself as nourishment? You only get one shot at 5786. Make it the best it possibly can be.